Hey folks, it's Tom, your frugal prepper. I am out here trying to fix the power steering leak on the Pontiac so I can get this to where it's officially my daily driver. It's snowing. Last weekend it was nice enough out here that I could take my jacket off, work in the sun, and wash and wax my car. And you know, it was in the 60s, and now we're in the middle of a big snowstorm. So that's the way things are in Ohio. So I'll show you what we have going on. Alright, so anyway, what I'm working on is trying to get the power steering fluid leak fixed. So I looked up the power steering diagram, and I know where the fluid was kind of coming out over on the passenger side. And there's no hoses on that side because the power steering pump's on the other side, and the hoses go into the rack and pinion on the driver's side on a 2.4, right? And it's all over on the driver's side except for the lines on the rack and pinion, but I could see those were dry. But there was a leak over there. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, it looks like this kind of square line back here is wet, but that can't be power steering because the lines don't look that way. Well, on a 3.4 they do. So I finally looked up a power steering line kit for a 3.4 instead of a 4-cylinder. And it has this little square part where the return line takes a little loop back under the subframe and it gets bolted up there. It comes back through a bracket where those have rusted out. So the issue is that this has a rack and pinion and that a 3.4 would have. I actually ordered a 2.4 rack and pinion to have on standby because it might have been the rack until I got up in the air and looked. Well, this has got a different rack and pinion. The 2.4 has a different one than the 3.4, and they don't match. And then the power steering line setup with this square piece on it, and I'm going all the way to the other side of the car, is like a 3.4 power steering line setup, except that it's been adapted, it's been flared and adapted with another piece of hose to bring it back over to the power steering pump on this side. It's best I can tell because I know this car's complete history from when it was new. I know who the original owner was, and I have every receipt for every repair that was ever done on it. It looks like they maybe had this chassis or subframe or rack or whatever slated maybe towards a 3.4 car, and then maybe ran out of 2.4s or ran out of parts. They did something weird to make it work, and you can't buy the complete line, right? Like, you know, this wouldn't fly today because of ISO manufacturing standards, but back in the 98, 99, that stuff still happens sometimes. So I pulled this out where it's broke. I'm just going to cut these lines off and put a large piece of hose right here. I got power steering hose. I'll show you what I have going on down here. But this is a return line, so it's relatively low pressure. You wouldn't want to use like rubber power steering return hose on the pressure side of a power steering system. Take special hoses and crimps. But I think we'll be fine to do this on the return side. And hopefully I can stop this leak and I won't have to replace the rack and pinion. The most important thing before you start any repair in the wintertime when it's snowing outside is to sit down in front of the heater and get you a bag of Duke's original recipe shorty sausages. Less than 1 gram of carbohydrate for every 2 links. Oh yeah. That's good stuff. God, there's just days when I love being a carnivore. It was good. I had like 2 eggs at 6:30 this morning and I'm hungry. And yeah, that's diet Mountain Dew. Like, I don't know, like people who don't count carbs probably don't know, but it has no carbohydrates in it. 0 sugar. However, it's probably still not great for you, but I drink it because I like it. Alright, so there's a couple of brackets that hold these lines in place. And one of them, I don't know if you'll even be able to see it from here, but it's down in there. right behind the rack and pinion, there's a nut that holds that line in place. It's a 10 millimeter. Is this one right here. The way to get to it is a swivel socket and a very long 3/8 extension. Reach down in there, and that will get that line loose. So that's what you're looking for if you're down in there. I can't really show it to you because there's just no way to get the light down in there just right. But I'll take it underneath and show you the rest here. Alright, so I kind of have to put the camera here sideways, but you can see where all the fluids have been leaking. And so those lines actually come out right back here. And you see here's the two pieces hanging down, and they came down that square piece bolts right up there. Right. And it just loops between those two lines. So what I'm going to do is just clean these off back to a good solid part, and then put some rubber hose on there, and just probably put this little bracket back in the hole and then zip tie through it with the rubber line to hold it up out of the way and over away from the exhaust. And then we'll zip tie these two pieces together, and then I'll put the little bracket and other bolt back on from up top to kind of hold those up. You just don't want them falling down on the exhaust right there, and you'll be okay. But you can see where it's really been leaking and just running across the whole subframe under here. So fun times. You can see the dent in my transmission pan there. That's where I ingested a chunk of steel that took part of the that took the oil pan out on the engine before I rebuilt it back in the day on the side of the highway. And it also left a big dent in the back floorboard too. Big chunk of steel fell off a semi. Alright, so I'm just gonna pull these lines down, kind of cut them off in a good spot. Try to anyway. I think, you know, this is plenty solid right up in here. If I just cut them off right here, that should be fine. And honestly, the rough kind of rusty surface on it, since it's still solid, probably help the line hold on there better and seal up better. I just want it to be smooth on the end. There's not really a way to get it from the top, so I'm just going to have to cut them off this way. I know they make these really nice metal cutters and stuff. This little cheapy plastic one I got from AutoZone like 20 years ago still works great. And it gets in really nice tight quarters too, which is important sometimes. If you had like a great big one, it would be hard to turn even right here. Alright, there's that one. I'm just going to kind of do the same thing here. I want to make sure I leave myself enough room for a couple hose clamps. I'm just going to cut this down pretty close. I might almost be better off just to take this one right up to here. But if I cannot, I mean, if I can keep the hose straight by keeping this bend, that would be better. So I'm just going to try to do it at the end here. Come on. This one's going to be kind of fun. This line's a little messed up here. Just making sure that's solid. I think it is. It's plenty solid enough. So now we can just slide our other piece of line on here and then fasten it up here. Okay, so I'm just gonna put like a couple hose clamps on there. I staggered them so that they can be real close together. And we're just gonna slide this up on one of these lines, like so. And then we're just going to tighten them up here. I really kind of, I mean, that's about as far up as I can get them. I'll try to move that one all the way up. Let's make it nice and tight. I'm fine with, you know, kind of cuts into there. It's just a hair. I want it tight. Okay. And then I made this pretty long because I want to kind of have some room to kind of, it's supposed to come around like so. Okay, so that'll kind of come over here. And it'll come back to this one like so. Get that as far up as we can. Okay. Tighten her up. I made the hose kind of long because I don't want it to kink up. Uh-oh, I think this hook clamp is not biting. Come on, baby. There it goes. Okay, now what I have to worry about is this stuff here. So this line goes there, and this should go more this way. So I think if I just take, I should have enough that I can just take these and go like so, and kind of put my little bracket thing right there, and then zip tie these up and and out of the way. I might do something there too, just to keep it up higher. We'll see. Let me go ahead and put my bracket piece back on here. I gotta take this piece here off of the line, and we'll put that up there. Alright, so I'm just gonna take these kind of down here, like so. I don't want this up too far to where these rubber hoses are gonna foul on anything, so if I put these down like this, it should be good. So what I'm going to do is I got my bolt in my bracket piece somewhere here. This one, I'm going to put that in here like so. Tighten that back up. Okay, and really what I should do is put that bracket sideways to strap these hoses. Well, it's not going to matter because they're going to be wider than the bracket together, so that's fine. So we'll just put a nylon strap through here. I'll put a second one there. I'd like to put something right there, maybe just self-tapping sheet metal screw in this other bracket. Kind of put it back here just to hold these up so it's not got any chance of flopping around there. But it's good enough for what I'm doing. It's good enough to get me by. I'm just gonna try to figure out about where I want to drill my drill for my self-tapper. Yes, it's a self-tapper. I still find it works better if you drill it first. And grab this. I got me a little 5/16 self-tapper here. Oh, hang on. Got the light. Let's see, I probably want to just see how this is going to work. I don't know. It'll work one of these ways. Let's see. Put this up here. Oh, come on. You silly goose. Oh. That's the problem. This is kind of in my way. No. I'll get it. I will make it work. I don't care which way you go in, as long as you go in. There, that'll work. And then I can just take a nylon strap to this guy. Alright, so now all I'm going to do pretty much here is just start her up and turn the power steering back and forth a few times, and we'll see how she acts. Go ahead and open up the garage door a little. I'll poison myself. Everybody will think Frugal Prepper committed suicide in his garage. I was just trying to check my power steering. Alright, so she's low, so I'm just going to top her off with some regular power steering fluid, and then we'll rock her back and forth some more so we get all the air worked out of the system. Alright, so let's fire it up again. Turn the wheels down. I guess this is where it's really going to kick in. I'll have enough fluid, the air's out of it. Feels perfect. You see that? It's working the air out of it there. It got a few air bubbles. That's about where it should be though for cold. So let's go down and take a look, See if there's any leaks. Uh-oh. Yo. I see a leak on the floor. It wasn't there before. Oh boy. Let's take a look here. Well, is it leaking around this hose? No. I don't feel any leaks here. Where are my leaks? Where? I came right from here would be straight up here. It would be up here. I don't know. The hoses and everything I did look good and tight. There's no drips around them. Let's just check around the end of this rack and pinion. It's all dry. Okay, so I don't know. Maybe that's drips from the line that I just didn't notice before. I'm going to clean that spot up right here. And then we'll go exercise the power steering pump again after this is all cleaned up and see what happens. Alright, I've cleaned the spot up down here on the floor and put down some fresh oil dry. And I'm going to leave the camera running right here. Maybe we can see where that leak's coming from. I'm going to go turn the wheels back and forth. Let me make sure this is out of the way of the tie rod. And then we'll go see what we can see. Let's see. And the ground is perfectly dry. So that must have been a puddle that was already there that I didn't notice from where the lines were draining. So now I'm just going to snip off all these little wire ties, flush, and we're good to go. We got us a Hillbilly backyard fix. Alright. So, snip that. Oh, got a few back here. Alright. Good to go. So, this is good news. This means I don't have to buy a rack and pinion and put one in. And it means the rack and pinion that I ordered that was the wrong one can now just be returned for being the wrong one. No return shipping, baby. Gotta love Amazon. So I get my 120 bucks back there. And you know, I'm not gonna worry about all this oil on the bottom. Like, it'll just slow down the rust. Alright, so I think this thing's ready to go. I'm gonna take it on a little test drive. I'm gonna print out my label, go return that rack and pinion, and do whatever else I need to do. Drive it around, but that's kind of the repair I did. Number one is I just can't get the line. It's a bastard setup. It's not a standard setup. So my only other choice would have been to change the rack and pinion to the correct 4-cylinder one, and then hopefully I have to look in Hollander and see that all the knuckles, and all the rest of the drivetrain matches up to that one, and then put the correct lines on it and replace both lines. It's just not money that I want to spend right now, because I owe the state a crap ton of money that I'm trying to pay off. So anyway, that's just a way to get by for now and have a ride to get back and forth to work. I'll talk to y'all later. It's Tom, your Frugal Prepper.